Yes, it's another Wednesday. Startup and innovators is what we call it on Atlanta Discuss channel. We're always trying to bring people that are trying to create, innovate, and mostly startups. There are a lot of startups out there. We need to encourage them. It's hard to get patronage for a startup. So we need to showcase them where they're doing it, how they are doing it, and most importantly, just to enlighten and increase the confidence of others, encourage others doing it. We can't showcase everybody, but if we see you, we find you, and we think what you're doing is right, we will encourage you. That's why today we have a guest, somebody that is very much in the education sector. You can see that we've been doing a lot for people in the education sector. It's not everybody that is scientific and all that. There can be a lot of innovation in education. That's why today we have Olayinka Tedimola. Yeah, Yinka, welcome to Atlanta Discuss. Startup and innovators.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adi. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
All right, nice to have you. Yinka is the visionary CEO of Lead Learning. Yeah, he has a project. It's called Lead Learning. They teach people virtually. Yinka graduated as an engineer, but now he's a teacher. So he's going to tell his story himself. But I know that he graduated as an engineer, yes, and he has multiple educational system that works in Nigeria, Canada, and within the British curricula, which is very interesting. It's a pioneer in education technology. Olayinka has developed two proprietary edtech solutions that are transforming how students learn and how educators deliver instruction. See, that's the innovation, So he will say it himself, impacting learners across the continents of the world. Under this leadership in lead learning, has grown into a network of over 30 exceptional tutors. I'm told they're up to 50 now, delivering high impact academic support across about 4 continents at the moment. So Olayinka has personally mentored more than 500 students and guided numerous institutional CSR initiatives focused on educational access and has been instrumental in upskilling over 200 educators, particularly in the integration of technology into teaching and learning. Olayinka Tedimola, welcome to Atlanta Discuss Startup and Innovators.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, I mean, we were supposed to do the interview about, I think 2 or 3 days ago. You really were very busy. It was a week, the day, and I saw that you were in school. Things were really, are you always that busy?
Mostly, yeah, mostly,
Mm.
mostly. Sometimes I just have to figure out a way to just shut down and rest and tell myself that, look, if I rest, the whole world will collapse, that kind of thing. So,
I like.
and then when I rest, I realized that the world actually did not collapse.
Oh
So, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. The world goes on, life goes on. So tell us, what's your story? You studied engineering. How did you end up as a teacher? Tell us, what's your story? We want to know.
okay, yeah, thank you so much, sir. So, first of all, let me start by saying thank you once more and how excited I am to connect with you and the listeners. Yeah, so I studied engineering, University of Port Harcourt. Again, there wasn't really a passion for engineering as it were. It was
What
just,
type of, which engineering did you study?
oh, okay. Yeah, electrical electronics.
Electrical, electric. Okay, fair enough. Mm.
So when I was younger, I would say around that stage when I was about to leave secondary school, there was no, I didn't have a good idea of purpose as it were.
Mm.
So, I remember then when I had that conversation with my dad about what I was going to study, I just asked him, Daddy, okay, so it went this way, Yinka, what do you want to be in future? That's what I usually asked. And then my response was, Daddy, I want to be rich. And so, my dad then,
Okay.
and then my dad then said, okay, so in fact, we actually went to one of my uncle's houses, and
Mm-hmm.
we sat down and we discussed, okay, what career path was likely to make me rich. So he said electrical electronics, that I'll be able to work in any of the emerging fields as well. So that's how I started electrical
Mm.
electronics engineering. So I did. Also, they told me I should graduate with a 2-1. That if I give them a 2-1, that I'm set for life. So of course, I did everything I could, and I did come out with a very good 2-1 at the time. I think I was age 21. But when I came for NYC, so NYC threw me out of my comfort zone, threw me out of Port Harcourt into Abuja. And one thing led to another, and I started working in the school, right? I was teaching in the school. And so it just, I kind of realized, I've always known, but I realized more that this was something that I was personally exceptionally good at. So, I mean, I probably would make a decent engineer, but in university, I found several people that could beat me at engineering. But when it came to teaching, educating, communicating with the younger generation, I would say till now, hardly have I found anybody that is better at that than I am. So it was quite a tough decision at the time, but I decided to switch to education, and by the mercy of God, here we are now.
Well, how did your parents told you get a good 2-1, you got it? They say you get the
Yeah,
2-1 you made. So
yeah.
when you did not show flair for engineering, were they offended? Did they take it well?
Well, not as well, right? Not as, I mean, not so well. Of course, it was the first big decision I would ever make. In fact, I remember when I was going to, because I first started doing my NYC at an engineering firm, but then
Mhm.
I quit for a school. I remember when I was going to leave that school, I'm sorry, leave the engineering firm. The HR lady there, she looked at me and she said to me, and she said, this is the first big decision you are making, and it's the wrong one. And boy, I was scared. So it was same thing with my parents also. They tried to be encouraging, but then they didn't quite understand it. Initially, when they thought it was just for the NYSC period, it was, I mean, you're coming back to Port Harcourt anyway, that's where the oil companies are and all of that. So we'll get you a job here. But I think it was when they now realized that, wait, this guy really wants to do this long term. That was when it now became quite an interesting conversation. And understandably so. Why am I saying understandably so? Because if I knew me and knowing the state of the quality of lives of teachers at the
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
and I met someone like me trying to quit engineering for teaching, I would advise you also. Do you understand? Even now, I'll say, are you sure of what you're trying to do? So it didn't come out of bad intent.
Mm.
It was mostly just concern, and
Mm.
understandably so. But, a lot of things happened. I remember when I even got to my first real job was in an American school after NYSC, and I remember then the one of the vice principals, Yinka, what's up? Why you moody and all of that. I just had one of those conversations, and she actually called my mom, just to let her know that I was working with Oyibo as it were, that kind of thing. That your son is not doing so badly and is loved and all of that. But I think now everybody's relaxing into it. One final gist. I remember at my wedding, you know how when you're doing the wedding ceremony, right? So when they wanted to introduce me, my mom kept on insisting that they call me Engineer Yinka. It was funny,
Mm.
just so that they know that my son is an engineer, that kind of thing.
Mm.
Yeah. So, but I think now, we've all kind of relaxed into it, and they're encouraging me. When I spoke to my mom and my dad recently, they're a lot more on board with what I'm doing now.
All right, so let's talk about lead learning. Tell us what's lead learning about? What exactly do you guys do? How how does it work? What's the modus operandi? Just tell us everything that we will want to know about lead learning.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I think I started. Okay, can I start with a bit of, the motivation for starting and all of that?
Please, it's your call.
Oh,
You have to tell your
thank you.
story yourself.
All right, thank you. Okay, so yeah, so while I was teaching during NYC, right, the general that whole lesson
Mm.
gig. So in fact, I had so many families that were, looking for me to the point that I started living in different parts of Abuja, that kind of thing, because I had to keep up and stuff. So it kept on growing and growing, and at a point, and now I tried to get people to work with me to help me
Mm.
manage the homes because parents were happy. As long as I see income once a week, I'm fine.
Mm.
And so that was what actually gave birth to lead learning. And that thing that really inspired our growth to even begin to be deliberate about working with clients outside of Nigeria, which is where we mostly are now, is that the I worked in an international school, and I found out that a lot of the teachers in those schools, right? The local teachers, Nigerian teachers. So you get an everyday Joe from a regular Nigerian school. Once you expose them to what's going on in the international space, you find out that they begin to exceed the output of the international teachers, just in maybe 2 or 3 years. And so I found out that Nigerian teachers are extremely resourceful. I mean, Nigerians are generally resourceful anyway, but and so it then became clear to me, and I have this picture in my mind that, look, the same way China realized their vast population and, they now started to invest in technology and or production generally, and right now China is where everybody buys everything that they want. It's a thing where I feel like we can come to the point where Nigerian teachers begin to educate the world. The exact same way that when you think of, oh, I need support for my child that is not doing well, maybe my child needs to rebuild foundations in math or whatever. The moment you might be living in Australia, you might be living wherever, the moment your mind you just have that thought, then you would think Nigeria. The same way we think China about production and stuff. So then that now started the journey of recruiting teachers, exposing them, branding them, and then giving them opportunities to earn comfortably. In fact, we have I think we've done so well. Like you read in the bio, we've worked with students across 4 continents. Currently, I think we have students in about 3 continents. We have about 30 staff, members of staff. We have 2, because we just kept on innovating, right? So we have a mobile app that helps to manage parent-teacher feedback, right? Because again, we found out that many times the issue with the why the tutoring system doesn't work as well is accountability. Parents don't know what's going on, right? Or parents are judging you by a different metric from what you're trying to do. So for instance, I'm trying to rebuild your child's foundation in math, and you're judging me by his end of school report, and I've been working with him for 2 months. It doesn't work that way. So basically, we have systems for consistent feedback. As a parent, you keep on getting feedback. If there's a reason why the classes are not working, you would know. Sorry, it's called Lead Tutors. It's I think Lead Tutors.
Lead Tutors. Okay, so you can download it on Play Store, Apple Play Store,
Play Store apps. Yes, it's available on both and all of that. So I'm just saying. So we kept on innovating and all of that, and so far so good. I think the last time we did a survey, client feedback survey, I think we had about 98% approval rating, across all of our clients, local, international. We are doing math, physics, programming, English first language, English second language, name it. Everybody was like, oh, we're excited to refer you, I'm satisfied with this and that and that and that. So it's quite a system that works, and we are excited about where we are right now.
Interesting. So now, if I download that app, is that how I get? I mean, I have a child, I want you to teach. How do I connect with you?
Oh yeah, so once you download the app, you would have you put your personal details, then you see an option to request a tutor. So once you click to request a tutor, you would there's an extensive form that asks some interesting questions, just so you can find the right fit for the child. So more like, what's the learning group, what's the curriculum, what are your expectations and all of that. So we have all of that spelled out. So we receive that, and then we send you a tutor profile that you can review. So if you review the tutor's profile, so tutor's profile has the image of the tutor's personal interest, the tutor's expertise and all of that. And so if you approve, then you now begin to have classes. So just from downloading the app, it's just quite straightforward, connecting with us. We also have dedicated program managers that work with your tutor. So and the job of a program manager is just to ensure, or another step in ensuring that you're properly served. So if you have any concern and all of that, there's someone that works within the system. Of course, it also work within the system, but more like a manager for the entire program. And it's also usually someone that is more skilled at managing that level of that can provide feedback or support, as it were.
So what subjects do you teach? Do you have in your curriculum? What do you teach? Do you just English or maths or chemistry? Is it science? I mean,
yeah. Okay, so we have tutors. Okay, so first of all, we teach from upper elementary school, so basically grade 3 all the way to undergraduate students, 100 level, 200 level students.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, and so you can imagine that it's a wide array of options, right? So we have classes for math, English, the sciences, the humanities, programming, digital arts. What else? What else? Okay, yeah, languages. So we have French, French and Mandarin. I think those are the two languages that we offer. We have a curriculum for right now. For programming, we have about 4 different courses in progression that kids can go through, from no knowledge at all to game development or data management. Data analysis. Then for undergraduate level, we have so at undergraduate level, it's just, I think it's more of when the request comes in, then we see what, because with undergraduate level, it's not even a case of countries have a curriculum that they run with anymore, right? It's more of universities have their own individual courses or learning pathways for students. So for that, but I mean, we've tutored kids on all the 100 level math courses like you can think of, programming also, thermodynamics, the regular sciences, data analysis. So just, courses like that. Yeah. So it's quite a wide array. I think it's very rarely right now with the level of expansion we've come to, very rarely do we find a request that we don't have a system around already, actually. So I think it's quite bad. Yeah.
So what are the challenges you have experienced thus far? Well, I mean, there will always be challenges. So
yeah. Yeah. So okay. So as a business here, So am I speaking about the business or myself as an entrepreneur? I think, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're speaking as an entrepreneur, you will have encountered, it could be in recruitment, it could be financial, it could be logistical. You understand? So what are the major hurdles you've encountered? That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, yeah. So I think, okay, so one of the first hurdles I encountered, right, and this is quite personal, is that I didn't know, I don't know, the way I grew up, I didn't understand the idea of money or earning money, as it were. So I always felt like people did me a favor paying for my service initially. I remember, funny story, right? When I have to send payment reminders, I would, because I was so afraid of talking to people about my money. So I would turn off my WhatsApp data, right? It's a funny story. Turn off my WhatsApp data, send out all the messages to everybody. Then I would turn on the data and then leave the phone and run away, because I was kind of afraid of what the feedback could be and all of that. So I'm just saying that there are several things that I've had to grow out of as an entrepreneur. And the issue I faced personally was I didn't have mentors starting out. So I just ran head on, driven by passion. And so what that did for me, or did to me, was that, yes, of course, like I said earlier, I think I'm quite the exceptional teacher, but I realized that there are several other areas that are like blind spots, right? And even though you can be extremely good at one thing and be terrible at another, right? And all of those things have a role to play in terms of the entrepreneurship role. So I'm just saying, especially for young entrepreneurs, it's mentors help you point out the areas that of you're deficient in. They do. And then so when you have mentors, they help you to tell you what you need to develop yourself. So now coming into the business itself, I think one of the areas I had issue, or well, it's still an issue right now, is funding, finance. So I tried to bootstrap, financing. So I tried to bootstrap, and I bootstrapped for a couple of years, and then right now, with the level of expansion we are having to do, I'm having to raise funding, and again, still that restraint I spoke about earlier. So I've had to try to open my mind to be able to get funding into the business, and also get partners. Then also in the area of trying to recruit. So because one of the issues we have in Nigeria right now is that most of the young people, or most of the graduates we have out of universities, again, this is not insulting the system. I don't think it's a fault of the system itself, but like there is a deficiency of exposure, right? In fact, if we check in many of the schools right now, many of the teachers cannot hold their children in conversation, cannot even hold the parents of the kids in conversation, right? Like, I can't have a conversation with you at an intellectual level. Again, it comes down to the fact that the educational space is like
it in the
there is
private schools or government schools or both?
both. I mean, the government schools, I would say, is not even so bad anymore, because in a sense, when you think about it, because people who are really exposed don't send their kids to government schools anymore. If you get, speaking about Nigeria, kind of, right? So in those places, they kind of manage themselves, but even the private schools, because of what private schools are able to pay, and then again, the quality of the naira right now has become really interesting. I think teachers are probably the worst hit, because it's almost like anybody can be recruited to teach, right? It's not a professional. I mean, it's not like a doctor's degree. Any graduate at all, you can just say, oh, do you have an experience and all of that? There are no systems to check and manage, and most schools just exploit that. So
it
you
has
find out
more to
that,
do with the quality of teachers.
yes, so the quality of teachers, yes. So, but yes, and also the exposure. So, like for me, I've had to now focus more on trying to just work with young people, so like just fresh out of school. Thankfully, because of we are able to pay well. So when we just go out, actually to NYSC, just recruit a lot of from NYSC and all of that. But then for every 10 you try to recruit, probably only one will eventually be useful to the system, if you know what I mean, in terms of being good enough. I mean, I've seen all sorts in that recruitment space. So that's another challenge that I've had, just being able to recruit and then take them through the internship program and then have them at the end. So it's more like a ratio of, I would say on average, a ratio of maybe 6-1. That's you try to onboard 6, and then only one eventually is useful to the system, in a sense.
Wow.
That's another area I've had. Yeah, that's that. But there are a couple of things we are trying to do now, though, to help us. So we're looking at actually, because in the Western climes, for instance, you find out that a lot of students, university students, actually pay their bills through teaching, right? By maybe doing tutoring services, either in school, on campus, or even personally. I mean, a lot of my students who are passionate are now in Canada or in the US. They do a lot of tutoring jobs, right? So it's one of the things I'm trying to do, to say, wait, can we maybe set up a hub somewhere in maybe a couple of universities, and it can serve as a co-working space for the students and all of that, and a free co-working space, as free as I can manage it. But at the same time too, it can also be a center for recruitment, because like I said, I really do believe that we can have thousands of teachers working out of Nigeria, right? Working out of Nigeria and delivering expert educational services across the world. Another thing that is a challenge that we are working on is for quality control. So we are trying to create a system where, as a client, when it comes to the quality of the support you're getting, you are not totally at the mercy of the teacher, right? So that means that we have to come up with our own content, which gave birth to our second EdTech solution, which is our own online e-school, our online learning platform, right? So it's kind of like, I would say the closest to what you have in America to what we're trying to do is Khan Academy. But we are trying to build courses across, but the quality of our courses and how it looks is tailored more to supporting the tutor as opposed to self-learn. But yeah, so that has been an ongoing thing. It's quite expensive, but we're still pushing on in that direction.
Oh wow, interesting. So are you collaborating with anybody? I mean, you own your business, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
are you in any collaboration with anybody in any other continent, partnership, are you?
Oh yeah. So I mean, we just opened up that started a few talks recently. So in America, I met with Amos Taffa, Amos the math guy. So I know he's been here before.
Yeah, I interviewed him. Yeah.
Yes, so he's a really really amazing guy. And we just started talking about education, and it was almost like we were finishing each other's sentences. So it was basically a match made from heaven. So because of that, we are collaborating on a few things. He's also Nigerian, and so we are trying to see how to carry. Again, there are a couple of things that we realized that that especially the immigrant children in America and Canada are having to deal with, or the parents are having concerns about, that we're trying to plug off, right? So I have a partnership with him now for America and Canada. Then we also have, well, I don't know if I'll call it a partnership per se, but we have a customer liaison officer now in the UK and in Australia. And so what they basically just do is just, try to educate people about us, and then get them to, begin to patronize us and all of that. So yeah, so I think for partnership is mostly that. We're also we are working on the partnership with the federal government though, to endorse our online learning platform, right? So again, to be like the Khan Academy of Nigeria in defense. I think that's about it for the partnerships we have running right now.
So what will you want the federal government to do, the Ministry of Education? Do you want them to start certifying virtual learning, online learning like you do to be schools?
Okay, so for the Nigerian education system, right, the public schools don't have the hardware to handle any of the things that we're offering now. It's one of my biggest things. So it's in fact the schools that benefit mostly from our online our online school are the public schools, are the private schools, the top end private schools, in fact, and those ones already have options, right? So, but we are trying to equalize that. So one of our missions is to equalize learning opportunities through technology. And how we are going about that is, so we have a platform that we are building. We are looking to collaborate with the government, first of all, for endorsement purposes, one. The second thing we are looking to the federal government for, is to be able to work with the curriculum department to ensure that everything that we're doing, even though it's extended, but it's extended beyond the Nigerian curriculum, but it should at least cover the requirements, because Nigerian students also have an exam that they'll be writing. And then the final thing is to, of course, if you're, I hope that they'll be willing to support us financially and all of that. So that's on one end. But then the other partnerships that we are trying to get is, we're trying to get partnerships with private organizations to help us to also to support us. So for instance, there's not, because it's a problem for everybody, right? When it comes to education in Nigeria right now, look, everybody that is getting a foreign curriculum education, which everybody that can afford it is trying to get, everybody that can get that education is planning to leave the country. So in the next 20 years, the people we are going to actually be left with in Nigeria are the people who don't have access to all the 21st century resources and methodologies. That's the truth. So it's maybe it's not seen as such a problem, because it's the repercussions are in the future, but it's actually a problem for us as a nation if we don't deal with it.
It's a clear present danger that will probably come to fruition later.
Oh yes. So what I'm looking at doing is, I mean, we could partner with, like I said, MTN, for instance. Okay, you know what? MTN, as part of the CSR initiative, let's go to this school, right? And then let's deliver online learning options to these children, right? So let's install projectors in the classrooms. Let's buy laptops for the teachers, so that at least they can be exposed to the world. Again, I repeat, I truly believe that with exposure, Nigerian teachers will do amazingly well. The problem is not the teachers. The problem with the educational system is not the teachers. The problem simply is lack of exposure. So we can partner with them to bring these things. And in fact, I even have a schematic, a prize stuff that I did for maybe about 600 students. And so to equip a school with 600 students, and this is with each child having access to a system with Starlink and all of that, for 600 students, it came to about $100,000, right? $100,000 for 600 students. I mean, so again, if you are able to do that, you've done something. Again, you've done something that impacts the lives of these children forever. Another thing we are doing on the platform is that we are trying to retell the story of Nigeria. Look, one other major issues that we have in Nigeria is that the story of Nigeria is, yes, we have our issues, and I truly understand and appreciate that we have issues, right? But there's other countries. So do other countries, actually. If you really want to look into what's going on in a lot of countries, find that they also have issues, but they don't put their issues and make it look like that's all that they're about. Nigeria has so many things to be thankful for. Look, I look at several things. I mean, you're seeing Nigerian artists, for instance. Burna Boy is going to countries that don't even speak English and selling out a whole music theater. And in my head, I'm like, what's great? So we have a lot of things about the Nigerian culture. We have a lot of things that can be. We have a lot of heroes. From this same Nigeria, we have the stories of the likes of Piggyverse. We have the stories of the likes of so many different unicorns are springing up and all of that. And I feel like, yes, has our government done all that they should? No, but it doesn't mean that we should not have an identity as Nigerians. It really. In fact, I was speaking to one of my students yesterday, and this is just yesterday, and I was talking to her. I'm trying to remember what started the conversation, but she said she doesn't identify as a Nigerian. And again, it's narrative that has been sold to her. That's all she knows. So we are trying to retell the story of Nigeria.
Is the student based in Nigeria or outside Nigeria?
Oh, based in Nigeria.
Oh,
and
okay.
I mean, Nigerian, she doesn't even have a passport. Of course, she's going to Canada for university education and all of that. That's why she was with me and stuff. But I'm just saying that apathy. In fact, you find out that a lot of Nigerians, a lot of people in Nigeria identify more with their state of origin than being Nigerians.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm more of a Yoruba man than I am a Nigerian. I don't know if you understand.
No, I do. I mean, I understand that. I mean, I'm first of all from Ijebu or Abeokuta before I'm a Yoruba man.
Exactly.
And I'm now Yoruba before I'm Nigerian.
Exactly. But to be able to retell the story of what's going on, to be able to communicate Nigeria in a manner that we can see the strengths we have and focus on those strengths, right? Talk about the likes of Innocent, talk about the likes of, everybody in the light that they should be, so that our children can also be inspired to see that I also can be something, right? So we would have a lot of that on the platform, very deliberately so, so that we can begin to rewire and re-engineer the minds of our children, even leadership ideas. So I was just talking with to Mr. Amos about an interesting idea to say that Nigerian children don't understand leadership, right? So we don't see ourselves as solution providers. We don't. We just, we blame everybody for everything and just move on. Even Nigerian adults, what am I even saying? The same person that won't vote will be complaining about, what is or what, very interesting, very interesting conversations you have.
So you think people need a lot of civic education?
Oh, yes, but the right one, sir. The right one.
Yep.
I think people need a lot of civic education. We need to try to now begin to. I'm trying to remember who it was that said, but I know it was in America that said, "Think of what you can do for America. Start with that." I know what America
I think it was
can do.
John F. Kennedy. Don't think of what your country can do for you. Think what you can do for your country. Yeah, I think I remember.
So in your own little space, and I think those are part of the founding ideology that made America great, right? So in your own little space, what are you doing? So for instance, you read about the fact that, the CSR initiatives that we do and all of that. Up until recently, we never had any video recording on any of those. We never recorded, we did it. We just did it because we felt like, if I'm a part of a community, we should do something. So we are always having student-led initiatives, and we sit down, we discuss with them, what would you like to do? And you find out that a lot of these children, they are tasting their first stint of productivity from those CSR initiatives. And they are doing something. I mean, imagine you painted the sidewalk. Every single time you drive in, I did that. It does something to your mind. There's an orphan somewhere that you profiled, I mean, we took some of our kids to an orphanage, we went there, we profiled them, and then we started teaching them classes every week. We go there twice in a week to teach those children. And then you would literally see a child, you're asking this other child, as you're profiling, where is your father? That child starts crying, you start crying, because you understand that there's a problem. Instead of living in your own entitled space, where you're just thinking about, all foolish things about Nigeria, without even taking any of the responsibility yourself. Because complain all you want, if you have that entitlement mindset, you enter into office, if you do make it there, and you still do the same thing. Because you
let me ask you this. We're pressed for time,
Yeah.
Where do you see lead learning in the next 10 years?
Oh, yeah. So in the next 10 years, I see lead learning, I see us with over 4,000 teachers, mostly Nigerians. I see us catering to every English-speaking nation. I see us having hubs in those nations. I see lead learning playing a major role in the re-engineering of the Nigerian educational system, right? So I am, yes, I see us playing a major role in that. I see us bringing Nigerian education to the forefront of African enlightenment. Personally, I believe that Africa is on the rise, right?
Mm.
And there are some things that you can begin to see, some things you're beginning to see happening in some parts of Africa that you can say that, oh, Africa is actually, beginning to think for themselves and they are on the rise. And I think that when you, in the next 10 years or 15 years, or maybe 10 years is maybe too short, but in the next 20 years, for instance, when you be discussing or you'll be doing documentaries on how Africa came to the forefront, you would mention lead. You mentioned lead learning as part of the catalyst in the development and in the development of Africa as a whole and not just Nigeria. I really see that
So,
coming to play.
do you have any advice for other business startup, young people like you, that want to go into the education sector? I mean, maybe not really the education sector, but anybody that wants to have a startup.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess a couple. So the first one is that don't stop moving, right?
Mm,
Whatever you do, don't stop moving. If you can't fly, you run. If you can't
mm.
run, you walk. If you can't walk, you crawl. But whatever you do, my
Just be
brother,
mobile.
don't stop. There are times that we've moved very fast. There are times that we've moved slowly.
Mm,
But I promise you, we have refused to stay, right? And we refuse. Even right now, I refuse. So you can see how big my dreams are. So nobody's allowed to clap for me at this level. If you're clapping for me at this level, my question is, when Niger State is looking for an intervention for education, do they think of Yinka? Not yet, right?
mm,
If state governors are not yet thinking of me, that means I'm not yet there. So I can't afford for you to clap for me. Please make sure you keep moving. That's the first advice. Then I think the second advice would be to anybody, like I said earlier, please make sure you get mentors on time. I lost about 4 years in development because I didn't have people to mentor me, right? So make sure you have multitudes of mentors, at least,
mm.
and you honor them, you buy your way into their hearts, you're deliberate about your relationship with them, let tell you, and if everybody around you is clapping for you, then that means that you're in the wrong circle, right? You need to be in the space of people that are constantly trying to push you forward. And then the final thing is, as a leader, especially, don't stop developing yourself. You
Mm.
know, the things that people clap for us today is the sacrifices that we did yesterday, right?
Mhm.
The thing that will make us clap for us tomorrow is sacrifices we are making today. So at no point are you allowed, at no point ever are you allowed to, stop developing yourself. So think of new things here. The world has become a global village right now.
You
So,
have to be
just
innovative, and
be
evolve.
innovative,
Yeah,
come up with solutions, keep on evolving, keep on adjusting, let it be something new every day. Let it be something always in front of you. Yeah.
interesting. So this is my final question. Has it been
Yes.
financially rewarding thus far?
Oh yes, I would say so. But we like I said, we're mostly bootstrapping, so we are always plugging
Mm,
back our funds into it. So in local parlance, I don't know if you understand this local parlance, but Mr. Adi, I never
mm.
cash out yet.
I
We never.
understand. Why wouldn't I understand cash out?
Ah, oh.
While I do they finish now, I understand. Well, yeah. I mean, life itself, it's not just Africa
Yeah,
anywhere. Life itself is an undulating plane. I always
yeah,
say that. Yeah,
yeah.
it's flat, it's not smooth. You solve a
Mm-hmm.
problem, another comes. So it's normal.
Yeah,
And for a business, the kind
yeah,
of business you do, you're managing human beings. So, like you said,
yeah,
for every six people you want to bring on board, only
yeah,
one eventually comes
yeah.
in, you understand? And I guess you also have high turnovers of teachers also, you understand?
Mm,
So yeah, that maybe you've already structured a contract with the child for maths, the teacher has to teach every Tuesday and Thursday, then you get a call that
yeah,
we didn't see the teacher, or, that kind of thing. So
yeah,
sometimes if
yeah,
it's your field, you have to augment that or
yeah,
send somebody
yeah,
because you already have a contractual obligation,
yeah,
yeah, and you've been paid for it anyway. So,
yeah,
yeah, all right. I know it's not easy anyway. Managing human beings, the
exactly.
logistics, the man management, it's a lot of work. I think what you're doing is commendable. I mean, lead learning, it's fantastic. I believe that the government should help you out. They should come, those MTNs should look for people like you. And I mean, we have quite an audience. So one reason why we do what we do is to help, innovators start or propagate their gospel. So Yinka, thank you so much for coming. And If we need to call you again, we'll call you.
Thank you
We'll
so
put
much.
your website, your details on the chat page for people to see. You understand? I
Yes.
appreciate your time, and I know
Yeah.
you're very busy. So keep the flag flying. Let's keep propagating Nigeria in a positive state. It's not all bad news, like you said. And
Yes,
don't
sir.
forget the civic education. People need to learn
Yeah.
about, yeah, leadership, about their
Yeah.
country, positivism, and all
Yeah.
that. There's hope. There's hope. I was one of those that gave up before, but I can see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's a new
Amen.
generation of leaders that are coming, and I found
Amen.
startup and innovators is where I found them. And you'll be shocked. I have an endless list of people to talk to now. Like, where have you been all my life? So, I'm excited. You studied engineering, now you're teaching. You
Yeah.
have a pool of teachers and all that. And I know that in America, a lot of students, young people, young Nigerian families, their children have teachers in Nigeria. So
Yes. No.
what you're
Yeah.
doing
Yes.
is not new, but what I respect
Yes.
about it is that at least you started it. You understand? You have a
Yeah.
startup, you're organizing it, you're paying people for it.
Yeah.
You're like, what should I tell you? You're a job creator, employer of labor.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
so you employ people, pay them. That means you're even putting food on for families' tables.
Oh.
And
Oh. Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
yeah,
By the message.
so you have, and you're expanding every day. I like what you said about having thousands of teachers in 5, 10 years. So thank you so much, Yinka. I'm impressed. Keep
Yeah.
up the good work. And to all our
Okay.
listeners,
One
that's
last
it.
thing.
To Yinka Tedimola, the great guy, the proprietor of Lead Learning. If it doesn't matter which continent you are in, you can go to Apple Store, Play Store, just type it in Lead Learning. There's an app there. You can punch in all your details, you link up with them, and the rest is history. Thank you, everybody. See you next week. Bye. Yinka, thank you so much for your time. God bless you.
Thank
Bye.
you so much,
Yeah.
sir. Bye.